Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Meaningful Marketer podcast. I'm Mia, and this is Grace, and we have cozy marketing conversations all about how to make marketing your small business more meaningful, more bite sized, doable, all of the things like that, and to step away from the toxic hustle sales culture that is just overwhelming us everywhere right now.
Right.
So, today, if you are someone who you suck at sales or you hate selling or you're afraid of selling or you think you suck at marketing, you hate marketing, all of that, we are about to completely change how you think of sales, marketing, all of those kinds of things, whether it is for social media marketing or paid advertisement, whatever it is, this is going to change how you look at and think about marketing. And in exchange, I think it is going to make you a better marketer and it is going to make you a lot less fearful of putting yourself out there and selling your product or your service, which is what we would all, I think, hope for, to be able to show up a little more bold and confident and consistent. So, what really changed marketing for me, and honestly, how I learned how to market
Uh-huh.
was about connection, about people. I was really fortunate that, and Grace was too, like we were both really fortunate that when we were learning about running business marketing, it was very much centered around people just connecting with people. It wasn't really centered around being super salesy, at least at first. And so we were really fortunate, I feel like, to learn marketing the best way.
The right
And we
way.
didn't fall into a lot of the traps that I feel like people have fallen into with marketing over time. I'm not saying we haven't ever fallen into, the mindset traps or whatever that you can get in, but we were really fortunate in that. Whenever I was learning, I was just kind of like, oh, this is just what you do or whatever. But then as I got out in the world more, as we started our business and everything, I realized how different marketing can be across different people and like mindsets and everything like that. And what I realized was, I was like, what good marketing is, it's about learning how to serve people well. And that when I start to feel lost in how to market, when I start to feel lost in, oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm shoving a sale down someone's throat, whatever. I remember that this is about learning how to serve people well. People are in need of something. They're looking for something somewhere. And if it's they're in need of a pair of pants, we have to wear clothes. Okay. And I'm not saying you need to go shove pants down everyone's throats all the time. But what I am saying is if you can, with integrity, bring forward a really nice pair of pants and get it in front of the eyes of the right person who is in need of those pants and has the funds to purchase those pants, you are serving them well,
You've
like,
won.
yeah, like you were. So I think sometimes with people with marketing and stuff, you have this mindset of kind of the sale at any cost. It's just, oh, I need to make the sale at any cost. We
Okay.
were at a workplace once where it kind of started to become that, where
Uh,
there were times that I would want to advise a customer, hey, this probably isn't the best thing for you. I wouldn't get it. Go for the next one.
For you. Right.
Yeah, like for you particularly. I'm not saying it's not the best thing for someone else,
Right.
but because I knew, I was like, well, if I tell this customer right now that this is going to be great for them, and then it's not, and I know it's not going to be, they're not going to trust what I say anymore.
Exactly.
And if I tell them the truth, I'm going to lose a sale right now, but I'm going to gain multiple more sales later because I was honest with them and served them well and
Yep.
gave them the right recommendation based on what they needed.
Well, and the cost of trust is, in our opinion, the higher costs.
Yes.
Yeah, you might not save that one sale, but it's more valuable to have them still be able to
Mhm.
trust your brand.
Yes. So if you're a small business owner, and you're like, well, I'm just struggling to get sales and everything, I promise you, if someone is asking you something and you know deep down this is not going to be a good fit for them, they are not going to like this, you are going to get one sale and that's all you're going to get from that person. If you are honest with them, you are going to get maybe multiple
So
more
true.
sales from that person in the future when you do recommend, oh, that wasn't the right thing for you, but this is the right thing for
Yeah.
you.
And guess what? It's the road less traveled.
Yeah.
Less people are being honest with their customers about their own products, like you're saying. And so, therefore, you're building a trust that, other brands aren't.
Yes. And you also, even if that person, like, say your brand just isn't a good fit for that person in general, it's not what they're needing in their life, you still are probably going to get recommendations from them because they're going
Yeah.
to see a friend who, is a good fit for your product or service. And they're going to be like, you know what? You should go shop with them because they were honest with me and I trust them. And so if you swap your thinking, and that's just one example of a way you can do it, but if you swap your thinking to how can I serve my community well, it is going to change not only how you perceive sales, how you show up for sales, the energy you give off when you're trying to sell. Because I've heard people talk about that where they're like, you'll have someone who's doing a really strong video, everything's feeling super great, and then they mention buying from them and their energy just shifts. The confidence leaves, everything is just different. And all of a sudden there's this weird, like, what changed
Yeah.
here? Like, do they are like, why are they nervous here?
Yeah.
That also goes for whenever you're doing your social media posts. Like when you're thinking about what should I say here? What would connect with someone? What would serve that person well? What would meet a need that they have in the most genuine and just integral? I always
Integral?
integral,
Yeah,
integral
close.
way?
Integral, I think.
Yeah. Integral? I don't know. Anyways, you know what I mean? Like have the most integrity. There was a podcast I listened to once, and there was some advice someone gave on it where they were like, somebody was wondering how to get into entrepreneurship or to figure out what it is that they are good at and what they should do. And the advice that the guy gave was something along the lines of like, what's something you would go do for free? And that may sound, you may go, well, obviously, you should like what you do, whether you get paid for it or not. Like, that's a true sign of what you're passionate about. But what is something that you would go do for free and then go find a way to do it for free? And then that is going to open up opportunities for you to be able to get paid for what you do. There was, I think, his wife or girlfriend, she loved to cook. So, what she started to do was she volunteered to cook for, I think, homeless kitchens, like plant based meals for maybe like homeless kitchens or something like that. Either way, she started volunteering and she was just cooking out of volunteering. Now she has like a cookbook, and there were all these opportunities that started coming up because she had just made herself service to people. And so I think when you're going into business, and talking about how to serve people well, to take that a step deeper, like we're getting an amazing opportunity here when we're showing up on our socials, when we're showing up to market our business, to show up and be a service to people for free for a little
Yeah,
bit,
that's so true.
especially on social media, maybe in other ways. I'm not saying it's not costing you time, maybe money. Some of the ways are going to be less expensive than others. I'm not saying you should go give out free stuff and spend a bunch of money on ads. That's not what I'm saying. But there are ways in marketing our business that we have a unique opportunity to, from our home, show up and be a service to people for free. Even if
Mhm.
it's just for a season, because at first
Yes.
we're not making any money when we start a business. Now, whether that looks like you showing up on socials to serve people, for nothing for a minute, or you are doing it in person, whichever way. But if you can take that thing that you like to do or you have that skill in, and you can show up and do it for free or little for a time, you should value your work. You should end up,
For
over
sure.
time, depending on your situation, maybe put a price on that, right? But like you are going to have opportunities open up to you that are going to allow you to get paid for that. And that is why you see these things where people will like fight for internships and stuff. And I think there's a lot in that some of it is people are getting used a bit, free
Yeah.
labor kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I agree with all of what goes on there, and I'm not saying that. But the biggest thing I'm saying here is like your mindset shift should be
Yes.
to one of service, whether you are getting paid for it or not yet. How can I serve these people well? How can I make myself valuable, available to people with this skill set that I have? And
Well,
through that, there's going to be opportunities open up.
for sure, and if you're aligned with us in the people before profit thing, then yeah, I promise you, you can come up with ways that you can add value or encouragement to people's lives where you're not, like, also selling them something.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the things when we start running social media for clients, a lot of them are surprised to learn that, like, we don't want you to be pushing sales 7 days a
Mhm.
week. That shouldn't be the goal of every single post that you put up. And again, at our last job, like that did become kind of the priority. It was like, okay, but if we're not telling them, if we're not continuously putting in front of them what we want them to buy, then we're not going to make enough money. We're not going to hit our goals. You'd be surprised, okay, to learn that our approach is not that. And I
Yeah.
believe yields better results in the long run because you are building that trust with your community. You're building
Mhm.
genuine connection with them when you're not constantly trying to manipulate them into buying from you. They're
Yeah.
more likely to do it on their own. And you're, again, bringing value to their lives along the way. So sometimes an encouragement post or a reel with just like, I don't know, a hot take or something that you personally struggled with this week, something vulnerable. Those posts are the make or break posts for your business.
Yeah, and I think where people get the whole thing, because you talk about, oh, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, or do something that you would be fine with not getting paid for, just like we're talking about. I think where people go wrong a lot of the time is they do that and they miss the service part of that.
Yep.
They miss well, I'm going to do what I love behind the doors of my own home where nobody knows what I'm doing and no one can see me. And I'm going to hope something turns into it. No, like you have to put yourself out there. So do what you love or do what you have a skill in, but make it of service to
Mhm.
people, whether that be online, whatever that is. But like Grace said, a lot of the time, what we end up finding success for clients in is it is the posts that aren't driving the sales. It's driving connection.
Mhm.
And that leads me into what the other point is that I think is going to shift how you think of marketing. This one specifically, social media. And that is that social media is not a selling platform. It is a social platform. Now, yes, we can use it as a tool to sell, but the issue is a lot of the time what we're using social media for is a like website listing. And that is
Yes.
where I get so many people who are like, well, I posted 3 pictures of my product this week. Should I post another picture of my product? Or is that too many? Or, whatever. And I'm not saying you shouldn't ever post a photo of your product. At one time, Instagram was a lot more about that. But your Instagram page is not a website listing.
That's so
You
good.
need to connect. People are not coming. They're not going to go looking for your, handmade soaps or your handmade jewelry or whatever it is that you particularly make. They are not going to seek that out in the same way
Yes.
anymore as we
Not
used to.
not because it's not a good product, okay?
No,
Don't
it
get it
has
twisted.
nothing to do with that.
It has nothing to do with that. It's just not what these platforms are primarily built for.
Mhm. Yep. And I think there's so many different ways to look at it. Like you have people who are like, when you're marketing lifestyle, you're marketing a vibe, but really at the end of the day, you're connecting with people. And that is just if you want to bring it down to the most simple thing. Like I remember seeing a post where someone was like, you're not marketing a red lipstick, you're marketing a lipstick that when her ex sees it, he's going to regret that he ever left her, And at the end of the day, that's great marketing or whatever. But really, what it is marketing is again connection. Connection of, oh my gosh, yes, I know what that feels like because my ex broke up with me last week and I want him to regret every second. And so you can look at it whichever way you want to, whether you're selling a situation, a vibe, a dream scenario that someone wants to have, like whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you're just connecting with someone over something that they want or they need or they've experienced before. And I think a lot of the time, what we have forgotten how to do, and actually what marketing is we're just relearning how to actually connect with people because
Yes.
in the world that we live in today, where it is just so much about sales and hustle and all of these things, and we're isolated a lot more than we used to be. We're a lot less social beings than we used to be. I still believe we want to be social, but we're
Yes.
not required to be as social. And we've lost a lot of that just innate skill of
Right.
connecting with a human being without there being a sales tag attached
Yes.
or, whatever it
Well,
is that puts that pressure on.
and it's easier than you think to connect with people. I think sometimes this throws people for a loop because they're like, I don't know what kind of content that looks like then. Like I don't know how like organically connect with people. You guys say that's so important. It's making friends online, right?
Mhm,
And something we say all the time is the best way to make friends is to be yourself, right? Like that's what your parents told you
mhm,
when you were going to elementary school. Like just be yourself and you'll attract the kind of people that you vibe with. And the same is true online. So, but that does take showing up and it does take showing your face and
mhm.
being as vulnerable as you're willing to be. The more the
Yeah.
better. And that's going to bring your like dream clients, your dream
Mhm.
audience, the people that are you're like, these people are for me. You're not going to be for everyone, but you are going to have to show up and put yourself out there a little bit in order to build that community and build trust with them and everything.
When you talked about putting yourself out there, think about how you make friends in person. So I'm living in a new place right now. There are opportunities I've had to go to, coffee shops, to go to work events that Tom's work has had. There's different things that if I would have, because I was afraid to show up, If I would have said no, I would not have made the friends that I've so far made here. And we've had the benefit of making a few friends here now. And it's the same with showing up on social media. You have this outlet, you have this invite to this place to come and make those connections. But so often we're not showing up on there. We're not wanting to show our face. We're not wanting to do all this. But like Grace said, it's just making friends online. And how do you make friends online? It's the same way you make friends in person. And the first step to that is you have to show up, and you have to show up consistently. I heard a podcast once where someone was like, one of the best way to make friends when you move to a new city is show up at a place consistently all the time, because you'll start to get to know the other people who
That's
show up
good.
at that place consistently at the same time. And then you'll start to say hi. And then you'll start to, we have a neighbor that's like that, that like he always goes out and smokes every day when we're going to walk our dog. And through that, we've become friends now. And every time he sees Jedi, he stops and he's like, so sorry, I have to say hi to my buddy. Uncle Rob, I think is what his
Cute.
name. He calls himself to Jedi. And it's just sweet. That is like the epitome of it, is the first thing you have to do is put yourself out there consistently.
Yeah.
And you are going to start to make friends. And then other than that, just like you said, showing up as yourself,
Be honest.
focusing on connection, focusing on that service, sharing your gifts and your talents,
Let them
and
know what you're
really at the
passionate
end,
about.
yeah, what
Build
you're passionate
Yeah,
about.
commonality there. Like, don't be afraid to show the real you. Like, we've worked with a lot of clients that are like, "Oh, but I'm afraid they'll think I'm too nerdy." Well, aren't you trying to attract other people that
Yeah,
like the same things
people
as
who
you?
are
Like,
like you, there are
don't
gonna
cut
be
yourself
people like you.
short and don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, and don't think it's too niche either. There was someone who was talking about a lady who made a whole community off of balloon animals.
Yes.
That's such a niche thing. So niche. She might have at some point thought, who else is going to care about balloon animals as much as I do? She made a whole membership off of it, and they do all these cool things each month, with the
That's so
balloon
cool.
animals. So, yeah, really put yourself out there, your whole self, your passions, all of that. So at the end of the day, those are the things really that's going to make good marketing. And it's the reason you see so many small businesses that happen accidentally. Do you hear those people who you're like, oh, how did you start your business? Or how did you do this? Oh, I accidentally did it. They just were showing up over and over and over again, sharing about something they really, really loved. They were serving people with it. Opportunities came up. And before they know it, they've got a business. And sometimes I almost think that's even an even better way to go. But I know a lot of us, we are out here intentionally trying to start a business. And I think that's when we kind of have to do the undoing in our head and almost take it back to, like, maybe when you're thinking about making a post, or you're thinking about that copy you need to write, or that email, maybe take it back to, what if I was just sharing about this because I loved it? What if there was not money on the line? What would I say?
Ooh.
What would I do? What would I do if I was just talking to my friend and there was like no money on the line right now? And that is probably going to get you a lot farther. Marketing, there's so many ways that people can complicate it. And yes, there's psychology to it and all of those things. But at the end of the day, it's about connection. And these are things that if you take these mindset shifts and you incorporate them, it's going to do so much more, I truly believe, than what a lot of marketing degrees would do
Mhm.
you and everything like
Agreed.
that. So take that, and we hope you have a great day. We hope this is helpful. We are over here cheering you on, and make sure to tune in next Friday because we release a new episode every single week. So we will talk to you soon. Bye,
Bye,
y'all.
y'all.